Welcome back, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. If you're a new viewer to this channel, please like and subscribe. If you've been watching us for a while, thank you so much for your continued support and tuning in and checking out what we're up to.
Absolutely. Hope everyone's doing well. I know there's a lot of glass blowers in the areas affected by the fires and many other people, so hope everyone's staying safe. We have some smoky days out here from all the lightning that started fires, so hope everyone's able to get the help they need. Keep in touch with your friends and family, and stay safe, everybody.
I want to let you guys know that we have an awesome workshop coming up tomorrow. It's an online workshop with Tony Kazy Glass. Check out his Instagram right there. He's going to be teaching sculpture, online workshop. You can watch it from anywhere in the world. It's going to be 8 hours. It's going to be on Pacific time from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. For $99, you're going to get access to the class, comments, interaction with Tony, myself, and Kevin. And then we're gonna have access for you guys for 10 days after the class. So if there's any part of the demos that you missed or wanna watch again to practice, you guys will be able to access that too. And Kevin's gonna be there producing it with me again.
Absolutely, we'll have a whole bunch of camera angles going. We'll have live chat so you can ask questions live and everything. It was great chatting with you guys last time. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Should be great.
Cool, I hope you guys come and join us for the class. And we'll see you there.
I heard the online school classes have been going really well too.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've been putting out a new video every week on the online school with more detail. And then recently I put up all the season 1 on the torches. So you guys can watch those without any ads or commercials as well. So please join us there. It's been an amazing experience. I love helping you guys get to where you want to be in glass. For only $49 a month, you get access to tons of stuff. And I've started to put up some archival workshops of last week. I put up Robert Mickelson and Eugene making Ram's first pipe ever that he made.
That thing is so cool.
Yep.
Bliss.
Right? The Wasp.
The Wasp.
The Wasp
the
was
Wasp
on day
was
one.
First. That's right. That's
Yeah.
right. Oh, that thing is so sick.
So awesome. But anyway, check it out, you guys. The link's in the bottom and the link for the workshops there and Tony Kazy's work. So please check out those links and join us for some of this amazing stuff that happens throughout the week here.
Totally. If you're watching this the day the video goes up, we'll see you tomorrow in that Tony K class.
Yep, that's on Saturday, August 29th.
We wanted to thank our sponsor, Mountain Glass Arts, and we wanted to thank them for keeping everybody safe. They had to close down and do some testing for everybody, but I hear they're back open and getting everybody's orders shipped out. We wanted to thank them, of course, for their continued service to the glass industry.
Yes, thank you so much, Mountain Glass, for supporting us continually and the industry, and for taking COVID seriously and making sure that your staff is safe and still having great communication with your customers and letting them know when their packages are going to be shipped out.
Totally. Hit them up if you need tubing, supplies, color, anything you need.
And the Eugene store remains open for walk-ins, by the way, too. So they don't ship from Eugene, but you guys are welcome if you're in the area to walk in and get some stuff there.
Very cool. Thanks again to Mountain Glass.
Cool. So speaking of glass, we should make this glass, get in the studio, check it out.
Pretty cool. Glass made of glass. Let's do it, guys.
All right, we'll see you in the studio. So I got this purple tubing that's been sitting in my studio for a while, and we were looking for another color to put in the piece, so it was sitting out, and Kevin's like, you should use that purple with this section. And there it is. I don't know exactly which purple it is.
I still think it's Purple Rain. It's got
from our crucible pull.
That's what I'm thinking. It's got those little bit of air bubbles in it. A lot of the Purple Rain had, and I think it kind of reminds me of that color. That was a pretty sweet pull back in the day.
Yeah, we did this pull of when I first got my crucibles of some Purple Rain, and we may even have some old video clips of that.
It's definitely in a couple clips. I know it's in the like Revere demo video that plays when you go to the channel.
Well, anyway, I think it's Purple Rain. It's an awesome color. I mean, you guys see what I'm doing here. I'm basically making 2 blanks, dividing it up, leaving probably 3/4 on one side and 1/4 on the other, and I'm just basically separating the middle section that will be in the cup and the lip wrap.
Totally. So you'll have the little piece to go up as a lip wrap, and then the other one will match up with the other color section, which we'll see in just a sec here.
Yeah, and you can see me just snap it off, and now I'm closing it up, and then going to even this whole thing out and then blow so I can open it. But I want to make sure I get it all even before I do that. Otherwise, could create some unevenness in the walls and make my job later on more difficult.
Right, especially since it's going to be a lip wrap, it's going to be really thin, and you really notice any unevenness when it's big and all the way around the lip of the cup.
Totally, totally. And I don't even know how this light purple is going to turn out on such a big lip wrap, but hopefully it just gets like a little bit of a hint of purple around the lip to kind of, you know, bring out the center section of the lip working together. Alright, so now I'm just heating up the purple section and opening this up and getting this ready to put together with some encalmos from a piece that I'd made earlier that was also sitting on my desk and wanted to become part of this mug. You never know. Sometimes you make some prep work and it sits there for a little while and just the day comes on the torch, you know?
Totally. We were just looking around the studio like, oh, you know, what can we put in this? What matches this wigwag, you know? And I was like, oh, nice little section there. So this is some blue, you know, raindrop or maybe
raindrop.
Is it raindrop?
It's the raindrop for sure. Yeah.
And then this is like the slime lookalike. I can never remember the name.
Antidote.
The antidote. Ah.
It's not really a slime lookalike either. And I mean, maybe it's like kind of the same shade,
right.
But like working wise, it's like so different. Antidote is like really, really soft and buttery, and slime is really stiff and, you know, kind of hard to work. Also, the other thing with Antidote is that it doesn't really get translucent or transparent.
Right. Right. I guess that's what I was thinking. It kind of looks like the opaque slime before it transparents out when you work it.
Exactly. So now I'm just condensing this, well, shrinking it down. It's still really thin, and I'm going to take this section, divide it into two, and then blow one.
Totally pop a little hole there, heat this one up, pop a little hole there. Not quite.
We're going to pop that hole later.
So you're just going to work this one real quick. And, you know, actually, that one maybe should go in the kiln since this may take a second. You're going to close this back up and really shape it.
Yeah, I think that when I blew that out, see how it opened up so much? I wanted it to be a less wide opening because that's better for the encalmo. So I wanted to heat it up, condense it back, even out the glass, and then blow it out again so I could control the size of that hole better.
Right, if you had just tried to close that hole smaller without closing it all the way up, it would still be really thin around the edges and just wouldn't make for a good seal, really.
And uneven, you know, like the wall thickness would be uneven to certain parts. So this way I can get all the glass to flow back and then blow out the hole size that I want.
Totally. So there you can see you got the hole all hot there, heating it up, little heat, little air. And now you're just going to go in and open up a hole in the end.
So I'm picking it out with my clear and then flaring it open with the jacks. And now I'm using the marver just to even that out and get that purple section connected.
Just making sure those two are the same size. Go in, wipe any kiln dust off there.
Now I'm heating them both up nice and even. I'm going to push them together and then pull just a little bit and then take off the blow tube. And now I'm going to even out these walls and make sure that it's a nice smooth transition from the purple to the blue.
Just going to work this section here, and you'll be attaching the other half of that blue and antidote section back to the other side.
Yeah, totally. It's going to be a nice little center section for this cup, and I figured do some encalmos, different sizes. I think they look good together, and those nice cool spectrum colors always look good together.
Totally. And you didn't happen to have any antidote or raindrop on hand to do a lip wrap with, and this way you get to have a matching lip wrap, and there was some purple in the wig, so you know it all kind of worked out.
Yeah, we just put it all together. So now I'm heating it up and trying to expand that wall and bring that to an even size piece. So I don't want any valleys basically in the shape of the piece at this point.
Totally. It's all going to be that wall of the cup eventually, and so you don't want that to be wavy, you know. And starting off with an even side will definitely help that final piece.
So I'm just going to get some heat in there, marver this, make it nice and straight along the sides, and then open up another hole so I can attach the other half of the center section.
Just be pulling that thinner with your punty there, pop a little hole, and then you'll open it up with your jacks, of course.
So I'm heating this up, using both blades to open that up, and then Kevin, with the assist, handing me the other half.
Grab that from the kiln. Your kiln right next to you is quite full, and I am directly in front of it, so we were just using your other little mini scut.
Heating both these up, touch, pull back, and now I'm going to attach the blow tube and do the same steps that I did previously on both those sections. Just heat it up, condense it, melt it in, and then make sure all the walls are the same.
Just kind of tagging onto that section of clear there with the end of the punty, and then you'll pull it out so you have just antidote left. You don't want any clear there, although you will be attaching up to another clear section, so if there's any place for a little bit to be left, I guess this would be okay, but still good practice.
Yeah, you want to definitely try to do each step as clean as possible. Pick out any clear, make sure that your encalmos are clean and all your sections are the right size, and just making sure that each step is as clean and as good as you can get along the way. That at the end, will create a noticeable difference.
So you can see there, putting some air in where you have the most heat, right on that section that is still condensed a little, so you're evening that whole wall out. Use the marver there.
Heating it up, blowing just a little bit, making sure that that's even all the way through on the wall thickness. And now I'm going to open up that hole as well.
Pulling it thin, and you'll of course put some air in. And so this is going to be one of the 3 sections you'll use on the lathe. You'll connect up on the lathe to be the final cup.
Yeah, we're going to use a little bit of lathe in this demo, which is awesome. You can definitely do this by hand, but if you have these tools in your shop, you should try to use them. Now I have a 50 by 5 millimeter clear on a blank, and I'm going to close this and do the same thing I did on the colored encalmo section, and make sure that the wall is even, nice transition, and then blow out a smaller hole so that when I do make the encalmo, I can blow it out and it becomes more even.
We were talking about what thickness and size of clear to use for the kind of body of the cup. And, I was talking about wall, kind of like a thick, heavy wall cup. You were thinking originally, what, 30 or 35?
40. I was thinking 40.
Okay.
And you suggested the 50 by 5.
Mine
was like 40 by 4, I think.
I saw a little chunk on the desk, and,
Yeah.
I was thinking if, you condense that center color section down a lot, it'd be a nice, feel really good in the hand.
But we ended up with a pretty large glass.
It is.
How many ounces do you think this glass is?
I would guess it's 22. We can actually check. But, I would guess it's about 22 ounces.
Well, we just took a quick break.
We just checked.
And the cup is 17 ounces.
Which is about 500 milliliters. And turns out not quite as large as I thought it was. I guess the really thick wall kind of takes up some of the volume.
I mean, next test we need to take a 16 ounce microbrew and pour it in, and then make sure that everything is working properly.
You got to confirm. I mean, that's good. 17 ounces gives you a little room for the head. That's perfect.
Perfect. All right, so now I'm making this section. This is gonna be the lip wrap, so I'm attaching this to the clear section, the larger of the 2 clear sections, and I'm going to do the same thing that I've been doing up until this point, heating it up, bringing it into the same diameter as the wall, and then that's going to be ready for the lip wrap.
Right, so you attach the color on small, and you're going to expand it out to the diameter of the tubing, and then open a hole rather than trying to add the color on at the full diameter of the lip, because it'll be much cleaner, much more even this way.
So I'm going down to my low marver there, blowing it a little bit, and that whole top purple section is going to be the lip wrap.
So you've just popped a hole there, and it looks like it's a lot of color right now, but once you expand that out to 3 inches across, it'll be a much smaller wrap, a much smaller lip.
Yeah, totally. You don't want it to be too thin, like I was talking about earlier with the purple being a transparent color. I wanted to make sure that it was still visible, so I need to leave maybe a little bit of extra on as if it was black or something like that.
Totally. You could definitely get away with a little less with an opaque.
So now I had a wigwag ball prepped up, and I'm just going to do the same thing, attach it to the piece of clear, blow it out so that it makes a nice disc on the bottom, and then this is going to be on the bottom of the cup so that when you put your liquid in there, if it's a clear liquid, you'll be able to see that magnification of the wigwag.
It's a really, really cool effect. And then of course, when you take a drink, everybody else gets a nice view of it as well. So then this will be the third section of the 3, the center, and then the top with the lip wrap.
And you guys should make a set of cups for yourself and your house, so that when everyone comes over, if people get to come over again, then you all will know whose cup it was. And make sure that you tag Revere Glass School on Instagram so that Kevin and I can see what you're making from these videos.
Absolutely. We love to see all the things you guys are coming up with. It's so awesome to see, see you guys get inspired. I love it.
So I put this on the lathe and I'm blowing out a little bit, and then gonna open up that hole And now I'm going to use my flaring tool to open it up and even it out and try to get that one little thick part to kind of go back into the cup and shape it so it's nice and even.
Right, kind of melt it back into the rest of the lip gradually.
Or you can take it off.
So you popped on one of your Bunsen's there to keep that warm while you get the other section chucked up in the lathe. Of course, I was in the kiln. Yeah, don't get too close to the end.
Yep. Put that in the Bunsen, so now just checking the size to make sure that they look good. And this is, I think I've showed you guys this torch before. This is a Delta Elite hand torch with the thumb switch. I really like this one on the lathe.
It is so cool just hearing that ka-pop, ka-pop as you turn the torch on and off. Just no effort. Other hand ready to go on the wheel of the tailstock.
Yeah, so I'm heating it up, and I'm going to be bringing that center valley up to be the same diameter as the rest of the piece, and I'm going to make a very large blank, and that's why I wanted to do all this on the lathe.
So you're putting heat into the section you want to expand there, and you have a blow hose hooked up on the left side. So you're slowly adding air and maybe ever so slightly moving the other section closer with the tailstock.
Yeah, that's right. So I have a blow hose connected on the left side. There is a blow tube connected on the right side, but that's plugged right now. And I'm putting air in, expanding a little bit, and moving the tailstock a little bit closer. For those of you guys who are new to glass blowing or even lathe working, one of the main differences in why glass lathes are so special is that both the headstock and tailstock, which is what the two chucks are connected to, spin at the exact same speed. And that's really important for a glass lathe because as it gets hot, if they're not spinning at the same speed or at the same height, then it will twist your glass and you're not going to get anything that you want out of it. So that's one of the differences between a glass and a wood or metal lathe, is both the headstock and tailstock spin at the same rate.
Right. Generally, those other types of lathes have just a passive tailstock that just spins, with the piece.
Exactly.
Since your piece is solid all the time.
That's right. Yeah, like a wood lathe, that thing is connected to the headstock and the tailstock is just ball bearings or something.
Totally. Whereas this, it actually has jaws on both sides as well.
And if you guys are asking the question, can I convert that old wood lathe in my garage into a glass lathe, which don't laugh because I've gotten that question countless times. The answer is really, unless you're an expert machinist, I would say it's a very difficult and expensive undertaking. I've seen it done, and I've seen people make some lathes from like weird stuff, and it's worked. But these guys are really mechanically inclined. For me, I would rather just pay what the lathe is worth and get a good one that's tried and true, and from a company that's respected in the industry. So the lathes that I use are from a company called Lathe Engineering, and they're really the gold standard of lathes in the industry.
They've been around for years and years, probably 50 years or more, right?
I think it's close to 70 or 100.
Wow.
And it's the first lathe. Lathe made the first lathes. They're from California. They're amazing. They really hold their value, and if you're interested in buying a lathe, that would be my first choice. If it's after the Lytton lathe and you want to try something else, a Bethlehem or a Woodland are also good. And then there's other companies. Well, Vertigo makes a good lathe.
Vertigo, I've heard great things about the Vertigo lathe. I know a couple friends who have them, and they really, really like them. And Chris Vertigo is an American glass blower, and he, you can get in touch with him if you need service. I hear he's great with, helping out if you ever have problems, so.
Yeah, Chris is a long-time industry guy, really great guy. We actually share a birthday.
Nice, I didn't know that.
Yeah, we have the same birthday. And Chris is amazing. His lathes are stellar. I've actually not personally used one, but I can tell just by looking at him and knowing what Chris's ability is, that they're excellent. So that's a really good option too. And I think those are like 12, 15 grand, something like that.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but sounds about right.
I mean, that's what you're going to end up paying for a lathe, whether it's a Lytton or a Vertigo. Something of any sort of quality is going to start at about 10 grand.
Totally.
Yeah. So I'm heating this up, and as you can see, I've attached the second clear section, and I'm just expanding that, blowing it out a little bit. And the clear is going to be softer than the antidote. Even though the antidote is a soft color, it's still stiffer than the clear. And you could see when I was blowing it out that the air was really going into the clear, so that means that I need to move the flame closer to the color so that there's more heat on the color, and the clear is just being heated by the radiant heat, and that should even out that two different viscosities of glass.
So now that you've evened out further up the cup, you're going to start working on the foot section, kind of make like a blown out kind of dome-shaped foot.
Yeah, it's cool. Honestly, like, this isn't really a shape that I've explored too much. I've made a few rigs with this kind of bottom on it, but like I was talking about in the intro, I haven't really made too many cups recently, so it was really fun to kind of get with the classical shaping that I did a lot when I was, earlier on in my career, and it kind of inspired me to make some cups for myself in my house.
Yeah, I know you guys gonna work on the fancy cups. I know you used to have a couple, but
a couple.
Yeah, when we were kind of deciding what to do for this video, we were kind of talking about a cup, and so I just ended up drawing out a shape on the whiteboard. I have a couple cups by a few different artists, and we kind of talked about it. You thought about some color. We actually ended up kind of switching up what we were going to use, just based upon what was ready and prepped up.
Yeah, I know that we showed you guys the whiteboard with the Scoby collab, so that's what we use whenever we're gonna make a new piece, something different. We always draw it off and make sure that we know what we're making, basically.
Right. It's better to both be on the same page, because Dustin's the only one working on it, but it definitely helps if I kind of know what's gonna happen next, so I'm ready for it.
Yeah, the filming of this takes another skill set. I'm sure you guys know and love Kevin for his work, but he's always moving around. He's got to really anticipate what I'm doing next so that he's ready with the camera to where my glass is going to be or what's happening next. So, if you guys kind of think broader about what everything goes into one of these videos, it definitely takes some work and some paying attention. So having the piece drawn out, having Kevin be understanding what glass is, me being able to explain to Kevin what I'm trying to make.
And also me watching Dustin blow glass for so many years. I've watched Dustin make so many different pieces that I kind of know his thought process. I know how long he's going to marver before he brings it up to his mouth. It's kind of, I'm ready for it.
So what you filmed other glass blowers too, obviously not as much as me, but what would you say that there's a big difference between filming me and filming everybody? Is everybody different or is everybody similar?
Everybody's definitely has a few similarities, right? Everybody's got to put a kind of the same amount of heat in to make the glass move, right? That's kind of never going to change.
Yep.
But the way people move between positions, like, it was interesting working with Scoby because his piece is always in the same spot on the roller. I was like, oh, this is nice.
Yeah.
This is great. I can get the perfect shot. And interesting working with Dan recently because everything's so tiny on that tiny thing. I'm like, I gotta switch lenses. Like, oh man. And so I'm excited to work with Tony too, see his sculpting. It'll be another different thing to kind of check out.
Yeah, Tony's probably going to be more bigger movements. He's kind of a bigger guy like me as well. I met him in Vegas, so we're really looking forward to having him out tomorrow and seeing what he's going to make. I know we talked about this in the beginning, but there's a link down at the bottom there for you guys to sign up for that class tomorrow.
Totally. So you've kind of moved on to the top of the cup, and you're flaring that out. You're going to have kind of a flared top, and you can't do the whole expansion at once, so thin it out, make it too uneven. Working in sections, expanding it, kind of working back and forth almost.
Yeah, and I had that a little flatter than I wanted, so I blew it out a little bit. And I keep going back in with the paddle to really get that taper and that flare the way that I want, so it doesn't just straighten up all of a sudden. I mean, unless that was the shape I was going for, but I wanted to see like a smooth taper from the base.
Right, you can kind of control the edge of the paddle on the cooler glass and use it to flow into the spot that you're shaping.
So now I'm just seeing that this is a little bit higher there. I'm going to take the heat and then take the paddle, push that down, and now I have a little bit closer to what I want. Making sure to keep that Bunsen on the piece too. If you can see that operating behind the lathe there, that little blue flame, that's some heat that's keeping the whole piece warm.
And when you start going on this end here, you're gonna actually have to switch the Bunsens because the extra amount of air, or the extra amount of propane coming out, kind of messes with the flame a little bit.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you can see it moving the flame around and pushing the flame around, and then I'm gonna have a difficult time heating up the bottom because that second Bunsen pushes it back on the flame.
Right.
So, not only that, but like when I'm heating up an area, there's no reason to have the Bunsen on because my bigger torches on it.
Right, so you have a little manifold down on your right-hand side. You can just turn that Bunsen off and good to go now.
Yeah, I have 2 controls, sometimes 3, depending on how it's set up. Right now there's 2. I'm adding a third one, and I have 3 different Bunsens that I can use. 2 are stationary behind, and 1 is usually mobile that I can move around the bed of the lathe.
And these Bunsens are interesting. I wasn't really familiar with these before I started working with you, but I actually really like these. They're a lot quieter, and they give a really wide heat base to them.
Like, comparatively to the ones that are 4 tubes or 1 tube.
Yeah, those are the ones I'd seen a lot. The single tube was what I'd seen first, and then the 4 tube ones.
So these ones are made by Carlisle, and they're about the same price, actually. I feel like they can get hotter, and they're quieter, and I feel like it's a more full, even flame. So yeah, you guys, there's definitely several kinds of Bunsen burners. I do prefer these. I have another one on my bench, actually, for when I need to fix cracks or something like that.
Totally.
This is a short one. Yeah. So I'm just taking the paddle and then flattening out the bottom, trying to make sure that that's going to sit up really nice and straight. And then once I've made sure it's nice and straight, I'm going to take my punny and attach it to the bottom there.
Right. You rather than trying to flatten the bottom with the punty attached, that's not really going to happen.
Yeah.
You took it off, flattened, and now putting it back on to finish shaping the top.
Yeah, and I wanted to do it this way. Kevin and I had a conversation about whether I was going to have a blow tube connected through the wigwag or punny up like this, but we decided to try to preserve the wigwag by not having a blow tube to pull off, and by doing this seal like this.
Right, do essentially 90% of your shaping with the blow tube attached to the top of the cup.
Yeah.
And now you'll just take that off and finish flaring the final lip.
Yeah. And this, to me, this was the most dangerous, sketchy part, because I didn't want to put my Bunsen on. One, because I left a little bit too short of a punty and I didn't want to heat up my chuck. But I also don't want that to get to the point where that rod is getting hot, and then when I'm flaring the lip, it gets off center. So I really had some timing stuff, because I had to take this off and then flare it up without it getting cold enough to crack the bottom.
Right. And there's a lot of color, a lot of stress with the wigwag and the shape kind of the base without putting it in the kiln.
Yep. So now that I have that popped open, I did a flame cut, I'm going to do what's called a swipe. So I'm going to take the 12 millimeter or 10 millimeter clear rod and swipe it along the lip, and that's going to take out any weird bumps and things like that, make it all the same height.
Super cool technique. Looks great too.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of practice, but it's really a good one.
And so you're just going in now with your graphite reamer, and you're going to start flaring that lip out, helping control it from where the glass is cold.
Just one of my favorite things in glass. Maybe I should just make flares, because I really love that feeling right there when you're pushing it in and moving it so much, so fast in an organized way. But I love flaring it. So I'll usually when you flare it, you have that little divot there, and what you can do is try to hold your rod inside at an angle and really pull that valley out with the side of the rod. And I'm using the wall thickness on the inside to help guide me to where I want that shape to be.
Right. Rather than trying to shape from the very edge of the lip, you're kind of working from the inside of the cup out.
Yeah, very well said. That was much clearer, but exactly what I'm trying to say. Work from the inside out once you can, and then you'll have a more even shape. And you can see now I'm getting closer to really the final shape, just using this secondary completely cylindrical rod for finishing it up, and then I'll go back in and paddle and really get that taper just nice and even, with maybe a little tiny flare on the lip, but nothing crazy.
And you have a smaller paddle for the side shaping and a nice big paddle to put on the end so that you can get the whole lip on the paddle at once.
Yeah, and that's something too. You could do this with 2 paddles. You could put some heat in there and then grab 2 paddles, and it would kind of force the glass into shape as well. And you could do that. That's what the L marver on your torch is used for, basically. So now that I have that shaped, we have the cup. I got to put it in the kiln pretty fast. It's really hot all the way through, so I want to make sure that I open this up, grab it with my other hand, and pop that in the kiln before too much time passes, because it's definitely ready to crack.
And on to another sketchy process. Not quite as sketchy, perhaps, but still a little weird. So you've got it upside down on your Marva here, and you're just going in with your mini torch, and you're going to take that puntee off.
But remember, guys, this has been in the kiln for at least 10 minutes right now, so the whole thing is equalized. It would have cracked already, so I just took it straight out of the kiln, put it on the Marva, so it's definitely got at least a couple minutes for me to mess around with this before I start to really need to get this back in the kiln.
Right. You can think about everything kind of having a timer that starts when it comes out from having a nice heat base.
Yeah, maybe we should time that coming up, unless you're, without a Bunsen, right? Like, how long would that take without a Bunsen? But you can have a Bunsen on your desk, and that, I once worked on a piece, the one with all the flowers, it's on the YouTube channel. It was out of the kiln for maybe 5 hours on the lathe with Bunsens while I was attaching flowers.
There you go.
Yeah.
So you're just picking that section of puntee out with a clear rod here, rather than trying to take the whole thing off directly at once. You kind of left the nub as usual.
Yeah.
You're taking it out bit by bit.
Just to make sure that I didn't create any cracked glass, because if I tried to knock it off or have a cold seal, so many things could go wrong. So I just want to take a little bit off at a time and make sure that I leave all the wigwag intact, don't leave any bumps on there, make sure it sits up properly. So I'm putting the paddle on the bottom. If there's anything at all sticking up, that paddle would get it.
And boom, there you go. That cup is good to go.
Let's have a beer.
Good to go. You can see those nice encalmos and the wigwag, of course, and it's time to pop that guy in the kiln.
Yep, so I'm just going to turn off the torch and grab my holders, walk this over to the kiln.
Just going to pop that in the kiln, and that'll be ready for one of you guys. Just make sure to comment on this video.
Yeah, so you can see the 3 different colors of the encalmo, the antidote, the raindrop, and the purple rain.
And then on the bottom, we have the wigwag, of course, and you can see that matching blues and purples.
And then the lip wrap, and you can see the shape of the whole piece. So we really appreciate you guys watching. Cheers to you guys, and enjoy. We'll see you really soon. Welcome back, you guys. I hope you enjoyed the demo, learned a tip or a trick or something you can use in your own work. It was so awesome making this cup. It's the first one in such a long time, so I enjoyed it. I hope you guys did too.
Absolutely, it's pretty sweet. I'm a bit of a beer guy, so I like seeing this thing go together too. Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
I got some questions for you, Dustin, as usual.
You do, huh?
Sure do.
Alrighty.
First up, from Enilaw. He says, I'm a new glassblower down in Austin, Texas, looking for tips on production to help keep my finances strong while I continue to work on my art. How do you do regular production throughout the week and then kind of balance that with meeting your goals and not feeling overwhelmed?
Well, I think that the thing to keep in mind if you're blowing glass at home, you're your own boss. So you have to be really strict with yourself. You have to be kind of a boss. You have to say, okay, you're gonna work from 9 in the morning till noon. You'll take a 15-minute break, take a half an hour for lunch, and then work till 6 or whatever your schedule permits. And you have to kind of be strict with yourself around your schedule. That's one thing that could help. But then you also have to set aside specific time as a reward for yourself doing the production. So if you're saying, I want to do 6 hours of production a day, and then I want to do 2 or 3 hours or 4 hours of personal work and growth, you have to balance out to see how much energy you have to blow glass and divide that up with your needs for production versus your need or desire to push your art forward. And so by making a schedule, sticking to it, and practicing, I think that's a solution that's worked for me at times and some other glass blowers.
Totally, very nice. Another question here from Francisco Gonzalez. How hot does it get in the studio?
Well, recently with the smoky haze, it's kind of been keeping the heat in the Bay Area. But normally during the summer, it's like 75 to 85. So it stays pretty nice. I have a big fan under my desk that I can turn on if it gets hot, and it blows towards me, but not the air doesn't come up onto the desk, so it protects the piece. And then recently I've been seeing some people posting with these AC suits that they've been making or buying, I'm not sure, but it's like a suit, you hook it up to one of those portable air conditioners, it puffs the whole thing up and keeps you cool. I've heard really good things about them, so if you're in an area that's super hot, that might be something to consider.
There you go, potential solution for you. Yep. Third question here from Chris Bauman. Who makes the rollers again? And I think he means the ones that Scobie was using in the demo.
Yeah, Griffin, that's Griffin's, I think, original pair, Griffin Glass, Scott Griffin. He's a longtime contributor to the glass industry, excellent tool maker. He makes those, and I actually just ordered his new ones called the taffy rollers. They're purple and they have one on each side. So we'll show you those. I'll probably have them in the next couple weeks, but Griffin makes excellent tools and the rollers I hear are very good.
Very cool. Those should be pretty sweet. And I actually have a question for you guys. So we were thinking about some ideas and wanted to see if you guys had any input on what you want to see in our next demo. We've kind of talked about a couple things, triple seals, so like some kind of crazy scientific thing, or maybe doing like a steamroller, a kind of classic, pipe, or maybe a hand-spun cup, either another beer cup or a wine glass, something like that.
Yeah, or if there's anything else that you guys think of, we're trying to keep the filming part of the On the Torch to about 2.5 to 3 hours because we have to edit it down so that we can keep enough of the content in to show you the process. So if you know anything or have any ideas about stuff that you'd like to see that would help your work, just please write it in the comments and we'll check it out.
Absolutely.
So if you've won a piece,
yes,
please send Kevin an email to his, a DM to his Instagram.
At What's Afoot.
Yeah.
Yep. We didn't realize that YouTube doesn't have direct messages, like private messages anymore.
Yeah.
So we were just telling you guys to do that when it is not an option. So just hit me up on Instagram and we'll get those out to you. Sorry about that little delay there.
Yeah, or if you have any questions for me or Kevin in general, we'll put our Instagram handles down there and you can definitely send us a message.
Absolutely. And I think it's time to give away this collab, Dustin.
Let's do it. This was such a fun piece to make. I loved having Scobie here and watching his style of working and learning a few things from him and putting this together.
Absolutely. This one is going out to Corn Man. Thanks for the comment, man. I hope you enjoy.
Yeah, that was a wonderful, funny comment, so thank you for that. And please comment on this video to win this cup.
Absolutely, we'll be giving that away in the next video. And we'll see you tomorrow, August 29th, for the Tony Kazy Glass class.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait to see you guys there. And we'll see you really soon on the next On the Torch.
Absolutely. Later, guys.